All right, let this microphone catch up on the sound. Let YouTube do its thing. Okay, y'all. So this is where I wanted to start. I want to actually go over it's a summons with notice, but I'm gonna call it lawsuit. I wanted to go over what was actually in the lawsuit, the actual black and white, and I'm so interested in this. But although I am a fan, I kind of want to stick to just going over the document because I'm not here to argue with people about who they like or don't like and everything. It's too much. So let me get this document up. That's where I'm coming from. And I also want to talk about who Brit Eady hired. That was important to me. And I also want to go over when Kenya went on the Tamron Hall show. And then when she did her own video on her own YouTube channel, we're going to listen to both of those. So if you come in later and it's not there anymore, it's because YouTube made me take that part down. But I do intend to go over it while on live. So first, let's go over the summons with notice. And I have some notes in here. So it was filed June 5th, 2025, and it is Brittany Eady, the plaintiff, versus Truly Original, Bravo Media, NBC Universal, I'm going to say Endemol, Shine, North America, and then Jane and John Doe's 1 through 5. Okay. So we're going to go down just a little bit. It says, you are hereby summoned and required to appear in this action by serving a copy of your notice of appearance upon the undersigned within 20 days after the service of the summons, exclusive of the day of service. If this summons was personally delivered upon you in the state of New York or within 30 days after service is complete, if this summons is not personally delivered to you within the state of New York. If you do not serve a notice of appearance or answer or otherwise respond within the applicable time limitation, a judgment may be entered against you by default for the relief demanded in the notice set forth below. Okay, going down a little bit more. So it says the nature of this action is defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, false light, respondeat superior, and I do have a note on what that is because I needed to know myself. So 1 second. Okay. So respondeat superior is important because she is suing Bravo for this. She's not suing Kenya, she's suing Bravo. So it says it is a legal doctrine most commonly used in tort that holds an employer or principal legally responsible for the wrongful acts of an employee or agent. Of course, the employee would be Kenya. The agents might also be possibly the producers and stuff like that. Oh, look at here. Let me say hello real fast. I'm so sorry if you're new to me, but let me say my hellos and I promise I'm coming right back to it. Hey, Janetta, Leia's grandma plus one, Miss Tina. Hey, my sweet. Chit chat, my big sis chit chat done stopped the rule. Hey, chit chat, Trinity. Hey, Liddell. Okay. I'm so glad to see y'all in here, y'all, because I need to flesh this out with y'all. So again, they can it's basically it says legally responsible for the wrongful acts of an employee. Again, that would definitely be at least Kenya. It would be producers, anyone else that they feel is involved if such acts occur within the scope of the employment or agency, and scope will be used later in this document. Typically, when respondeat superior is invoked, a plaintiff will look to hold both the employer and the employee liable. And that might be where the Jane and John Doe's 1 through 5 come in. It says, as such, a court will generally look to the doctrine of joint and several liability when assigning damages. Jurisdictional differences, there is not a national standard for respondeat superior because states create their own standards for the doctrine. Different jurisdictions will use different tests to prove respondeat superior. However, most jurisdictions will use one of the following two tests. One of the tests is called the benefits test. When the employee's social or, it skipped me. When the employee's social or recreational pursuits on the employer's premises after hours are endorsed by the express or implied permission of the employer and are conceivably of some benefit to the employer. Obviously, one of the conceivable benefits would be ratings, advertisers' ratings. Then the employer is liable for harm resulting from the employee's actions. And Bravo did choose to air this so that, now if there was not anything as far as them actually putting any part of that on the episode, she probably couldn't even do this. But with that being in there, that's going to be a big part that technically Bravo is getting fruit from a poison tree. I just don't know what the poison is for sure because we're going to get into that. But okay, the other test is the characteristics test. If the employee's action is common enough for that job that the action could be fairly deemed to be the characteristic of the job, then the employer will be liable for harm resulting from the employee's actions. Okay, so I'm going to reread that because I remember rereading that sentence when I was by myself. If the employee's action is common enough for that job that the action could be fairly deemed to be characteristic of the job, well, housewives, they bring out the notebooks, they bring out things for the gotcha moments. It's never been this extreme. Well, no, not never, because we got Vanderpump Rules. That was actual revenge P on Vanderpump Rules. So it says, then the employer will be liable for harm resulting from the employee's actions. Uh-oh. Hold on. Okay, so that's respondeat superior. I have it highlighted in orange because I think that's a big part of the lawsuit. That was just my opinion though. But also, that's not it. So we got defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, false light, respondeat superior, and sexual harassment and hostile work environment in violation of the New York State human rights law and the New York City human rights law in regards to an incident occurring during a June 6th, 2024 taping of the reality television show The Real Housewives of Atlanta and the subsequent production and airing of an RHOA episode on April 6th, 2025. On June 6, 2024, at an event that was filmed for the production of RHOA, one of the show's cast members willfully, intentionally, recklessly, and or with gross negligence made false, defamatory, harassing, and damaging statements regarding the plaintiff, another cast member on the show, in front of an audience of approximately 200 people. And I'm going to state the obvious. She's referring to Kenya Moore in her salon's grand opening. And again, like I said, if you're just coming in, we're going to listen to Kenya on Tamron Hall and Kenya's YouTube statement that she did. It says the cast member also displayed posters containing written and false defamatory statements regarding plaintiff and her occupation, as well as an explicit photograph depicting a woman engaged in graphic sexual conduct. The cast member falsely claimed that the photograph depicted the plaintiff. This is where I was like, wait. Because when we were all on Instagram together and we saw things going back and forth, I thought I saw Brit claiming it was of her. And so now I'm guessing she found out the pictures were not of her. I'm going to finish this paragraph and I'm going to tell you what I think about that part. So it says plaintiff was not present when the photograph was presented and did not see the explicit photograph until after certain of these events were aired on Bravo nearly a year later, as addressed below. Attendees of the event took photographs, video, and audio recordings of the cast members' statements and circulated certain ones of them on social media sites, including Instagram and TikTok, and the statements were subsequently circulated by media outlets. The foregoing actions of the cast member at issue were within the scope of the defendant's business and in furtherance of the defendant's business. And that's where the word scope came back again when we looked at the respondeat superior. It said it had to be within the scope of the business. And at the end of this paragraph 2, it says the foregoing actions of the cast member at issue were within the scope of the defendant's business and in furtherance of the defendant's business. Okay. So let me say this about the pictures. I was like, well, okay, I don't understand. At first I didn't understand, but here's my guess about these pictures that could or could not have been of Brit Eady. I think then there's a couple things. One, I believe Kenya thought all the pictures were of Brit Eady. She used a private investigator. That was her whole point. I think she thought all of them were of Brit Eady. The ones that were very explicit in nature sounded like it was when Brit would have been around 18, 19 years old. So I'm like, did however they got the images, did similar looking 18, 19-year-olds at the time come up and it was grouped in with Brit Eady? Because, like, for instance, let me move this out the way. Okay, you see the sign says, "Who is this hoe?" But I'm like, were there some of Brit present time, and then there were some of someone that looked so similar to her that for Kenya, she was like, no, I that's why I have to apologize, because I'm posting pictures. I did put pictures up of her on those posters, but then maybe come to find out, maybe the private investigator got it wrong and pulled some pictures that were not of Brit Eady. So there's a mixture of Brit and then there's not Brit, and then now you get this whole, it still depicted her in a bad, explicit manner, but it was not every 100% of the pictures were her. That is my question. I don't know, but I was just trying to wrap my head around, you're suing, but the pictures may not have even been of you. And what if some of them weren't of you? So that's where we are with that. That's where my thought process has gone. And I'm just, trying to hash it out. Chit Chat said, good point. And what happened to the investigation that Bravo said they did? Right. So did Bravo, when they investigated it, it had one, I'm sorry, it had to be a lazy investigation. That means they didn't even consult Brit probably in the investigation, not a real one, like to be like, I know it's going to be hard for you to look at this, but here's the pictures she put of you. Are these you, or just whatever? Like, it seems like it was a very light and late investigation, for sure. I'm with you on that. And then, what else did I want to say? Hold on. I'm rereading this paragraph. Okay, so I think at the crux of this is that whether all the pictures were or were not of Brit, is still that because of the resulting treatment and damages she's saying she suffered, it doesn't matter if 100% of them were her. It was depicted to be her. And I also don't even know for sure if some of them weren't her. I don't know, but that's what she's saying. And for me, I'm not spending all this money unless I can for sure say some of those pictures weren't me. But okay, so we'll keep going. So it says defendants willfully, intentionally, recklessly, and or with gross negligence republished certain of the cast members' statements at issue. So that would be, I'm guessing, casual statements, as also like official interviews and all this thing are being reposted, and she holds Bravo, Truly, and all of them responsible, NBC, all of them. Specifically, defendants willfully, intentionally, recklessly, and or with gross negligence produced, edited, and aired an episode of RHOA on April 6, 2025 that included footage of certain of the cast members' statements at issue, as well as commentary from other cast members that described the photographs displayed. And this is why I think at the minimum, it was at least a similar looking person to I wanted to say Mia so bad from Real Housewives of Potomac, but Brit Eady. I both of their voices irk my nerves. But of Brit Eady, because I do believe when Cynthia saw it, when Portia saw it, when Drew Sidora saw it, when the people that aren't even part of the cast saw it, I think that, because here's the thing, if you're showing me an explicit picture mixed in with other pictures, you're going to tell me that's who it is. I'm like, oh God, that's who it is. I'm not studying the picture. I'm just like, oh man, can you produce a picture of Brit Eady in some explicit stuff? And I didn't like it, or whatever opinion I state about it. But I'm going to go with, that was Brit Eady in the pictures. And I was like, whoa, that's too much or whatever. So I do, obviously they made their statements in their confessionals. They also went on interviews. They also posted in their stories on Instagram about it. And the average person, I do believe, would think that's the person they're talking about, because one, I know it's blurred out, but this is not even the one where she's depicted in the explicit manner, but I believe that as a presentation, once my brain is told this is Brit, and I know what Brit looks like, and I'm looking at the larger pictures that are probably her, I'm not honing in on the smaller ones to verify. Let me check the face and see what you got going on here. Make sure. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that was Brit. I'm done. Okay, let me see. It says further, the manner in which the episode was aired falsely yet unmistakably implied that the graphic sexual photograph presented by the cast member depicted the plaintiff. On information and belief, defendants knew that the photograph did not depict the plaintiff, or at the least were reckless or grossly negligent in failing to learn that the photograph did not depict the plaintiff. And that or is very important. That means that because the before the or it says that they did know and they didn't care, they just wanted the ratings. But after the or it says or minimum, they didn't even do their due diligence to see if it was really her. That's what they're being accused of. So it doesn't have to be both are true. It's just one of them. If it's true, then that's the one they're going to go with. So grossly negligent is probably going to be Bravo. That they didn't actually look into it to make sure, was it even Brit before all this went down? And they're going to say, obviously it depends on the producers of that scene because they're an extension of Bravo and Truly Original. Chit Chat said, my question is, if it wasn't hers, does she really have grounds to sue? She continued to film the whole season. Also, when did she learn it wasn't her? Well, at the beginning of her lawsuit, she's suing after the episode aired. So the episode aired, I think it said April. So now it's like, okay, so y'all knew this went down, all this happened, and you still put it to the public. And I'm not even defending her stance. I'm just saying what I'm seeing in black and white because like I said, I'm gonna sit this one out for the most part. But what she's saying is, okay, this kind of went down where it wasn't to the public yet. But then y'all still actually aired it. So that's the first part about it going public. So she wouldn't have brought the lawsuit like she didn't until after the air date. That's when it was like, okay, you put this out for everybody to see now. And then Chit Chat said, if it wasn't her, does she really have grounds to sue? She does, and this is why. We're going to get to, I think I'm coming to the paragraph now about it, of why she still, for her lawyer, still has grounds to sue, even if her picture wasn't in there. So we'll get to that, and then hopefully I can expand a little bit more. Hey, Miami J. Okay, so it says, despite plaintiff's repeated requests prior to airing of the episode at issue that defendants show her the photograph, so she actually demanded to be shown the photograph before the episode aired, defendants refused to do so. So Bravo Truly, she's saying that they refused to actually show her the photographs. And she's saying she requested repeatedly to see the photographs. By way of the foregoing, defendants contributed to a hostile work environment for plaintiff and sexually harassed plaintiff by subjecting the plaintiff to unwelcome, offensive, and sexualized behavior and comments based on her gender by requiring her to continue working in an environment in which she had been subject to a gendered attack, creating an inferior condition or privilege of employment because of her gender. So and that goes back to paragraph 1, where it's under the New York State Human Rights Law and the New York City Human Rights Law. And that, I believe, holds the part about being under attack because of your gender. And that sounds like a simple statement, but there's very specific things that it comes to that when it says that. So just don't take it at the face value of just because of her gender. It is, like she said, it is. And I'm not saying that she for sure experienced all this, but what I'm saying the lawsuit is claiming is now there's a deterioration in her working environment because of she asked to see the pictures. They also still made her film because they probably said, you have a contract obligation. And at this time, she hadn't had a lawsuit yet. So she probably, was trying to fulfill her contract obligation because probably if you're going to sue later and they say you didn't fulfill it, then that could be grounds for them. I don't know. Lies More Lies said, I think she can because they let Kenya go, so she could feel safe. In my opinion, she's saying they didn't allow her to see the pic when she asked them to see them. I don't know what you're saying about the I think she can part, but yes, she plainly stated she repeatedly asked to see the photographs of herself, and the defendants, NBC, Bravo, Truly Original, did not allow her to see the pictures. Then it says the relief sought is as follows. A, the immediate removal of the episode from public access on all platforms, networks, and media outlets within the defendant's control. B, a public statement by defendants that the statements by the cast member and the depiction of those statements, including the impression that the explicit photograph depicted plaintiff, were false. So she wants Bravo to publicly acknowledge that y'all have the knowledge now, now that those pictures weren't even of me. So I feel like she's very sure by this that she was not even the one in the explicit pictures. C, a monetary award to be determined at trial entered against the defendants jointly and severally and or individually. And that's where that Jane and John Doe's 1 through 5 come in. So possibly if Bravo is like, well, we're gonna keep Kenya under that bus, then if it's ruled in her favor, then jointly or severally, Kenya could be responsible, or whatever individual she names to fill in the spots of the Jane and John Doe's 1 through 5. It says D, as well as punitive damages entered against the defendants jointly and severally and or individually, and E, for the costs and fees of this proceeding, including legal fees, and for such other and further relief as this court deems just and proper. Should defendants fail to appear herein, judgment will be entered by default for the sum of not less than $20 million with interest and the costs and fees of this action. Now, I want to make sure y'all understand that her lawyer wrote this document. So the court isn't necessarily saying at this time, should the defendants fail to appear, that they will have a default judgment of $20 million. This is what her lawyer is submitting should happen if they don't respond. It is not saying for sure it will happen if they don't respond. That's what the lawyer is demanding, though. And then it says plaintiff designates New York County as the place of trial. The basis of this designation is defendant's principal place of business, the situs of where, and I don't know if I didn't look up the word situs. So and let me tell you, I am a layman. I do not have a legal background. I just have an interest in legal topics. So I don't know if situs is the actual word or if they meant to say the site of where events relevant to this action occurred. I need to look that word up. I meant to highlight it. And the venue selected in the employment contract governing the relationship between plaintiff and defendant, Truly Original LLC, as well as the employment contract governing the relationship between the offending cast member and defendant, Truly Original LLC. Okay. So that's why she's saying they chose, or her lawyer saying they chose New York. Now I have this is what I have coming for y'all. We're going to look at Benjamin White's history as an attorney, and then we're going to play Kenya's confession on Tamron Hall, where that's why I believe Kenya believes she had pictures of Brit. Like, I don't think she was thinking she posted false pics of her. And then we're going to listen to Kenya's YouTube that she did about it too, just to refresh our memory. So let's look at Benjamin real fast. Let me take this down. And let's look at Benjamin. Let's see here. Am I still sharing my screen? Hold on. This is when you find out you have a lot of screens open. Let's see here. Okay, it looks like I was. Where is it? Hold on, y'all. Let me try to take it off and put it back on there because I don't see it. There we go. Okay, Benjamin D. White. He is a partner at Block and White LLP. And it says Benjamin White is a seasoned litigator with a lengthy track record of litigating high stakes, complex, and cutting edge commercial disputes and public interest cases. Before establishing Block and White LLP, Ben practiced at Kaplan, Hecker, and Fink LLP, where he represented clients in disputes concerning complex commercial transactions, the securities laws, the civil rights laws, and the civil rights part is important because that is kind of where Brit Eady's lawsuit is falling under, the U.S. Constitution, federal and state whistleblower statutes, and more. And whistleblower is big because usually the whistleblowers are going to be with the bigger corporations and bigger companies. So protecting and fighting for whistleblowers is going to be a hard uphill battle. His commercial clients have included major financial and investment advisory firms, multinational unicorn tech companies, several Fortune 500 institutions, and both plaintiffs and defendants in whistleblower actions. So he's defended both sides. So he's worked with the companies that have been at the on the receiving end of a whistleblower, and then he's also defended whistleblowers. So he's fought both sides, which means he's probably going to understand some of the strategies that Bravo and Truly would come with. That's what I would think. Ben litigated extensively in federal and state trial and appellate courts on behalf of these clients and recently secured the affirmance by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit of a substantial majority of claims brought against his clients facing allegations of fraud on a $1 billion government contract. Ben has also maintained a broad public interest practice throughout his career, focusing on civil rights and criminal defense. He was co-lead trial counsel in Frazier versus City of New York et al., a federal civil rights wrongful conviction action brought against 3 NYPD officers and the City of New York for constitutional violations, in which the jury found all defendants liable on all claims and awarded Ben's client nearly $2 million in compensatory and punitive damages. He represented the Federal Defenders of New York in a long-running litigation against the Bureau of Prisons concerning attorney access rights at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn and helped secure a groundbreaking and novel ruling by the Second Circuit affirming those right of access claims. He also represented a group of plaintiffs pursuing civil rights and state law claims against the neo-Nazis and white supremacists that organized the August 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, in which a jury recently awarded his clients $26 million following a 4-week trial. Ben also represented criminal defendants in federal trial court through the Criminal Justice Act and clients on direct appeals of underlying convictions. So I'm going to tell you this, reading this, and this is my first impression of Ben because I didn't read all this before I got to y'all. I just had him ready to go and looked him up. From that paragraph we just read, Ben is patient. That's what that tells me. If you're fighting a long-standing issue with the Bureau of Prisons for prisoners and access to their attorneys, Ben is patient. Also, I see the high dollar amounts that he's gotten. Again, with him fighting for both sides, I don't know. I don't think Bravo's just going to get off super easily. It's probably at minimum, maybe it's going to be a settlement. I don't know. Lies More Lies said, I don't care for Brit, but definitely not mad about her suing. Hey, LaDawn. Okay. So it says, Ben previously litigated at Sullivan and Cromwell LLP, where his commercial practice focused on representing a major financial institution in a numerous and diverse array of mortgage-backed securities litigations. Ben also maintained a broad pro bono practice at Sullivan and Cromwell, including representation of indigent, nonprofit, and government clients in various matters in the fields of housing, tax, and criminal law, earning him placement on Legal Services NYC's honor roll and being named an honoree as part of the New York State Bar Association's Empire State Council program. And I'm going to tell you what, securities litigations, do you know how much in the weeds you have to get for that? He's patient and smart. They're not going to talk him in circles. Ben graduated cum laude from Harvard Law School, where he earned the Paul C. Weiler Student Writing Prize in Sports and Entertainment Law and served as a vice president of the National Security Journal. Later, Ben served as a law clerk to the Honorable Barrington D. Parker Jr. and then the Honorable John M. Walker Jr., both of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, which followed service as a law clerk to the Honorable Charles S. Haight Jr. of the Southern District of New York. And then it says, Ben graduated with honors from the University of Wisconsin-Madison with a BA in political science and sociology. Before attending law school, he served as a member of an AmeriCorps program providing academic support and mentoring to underprivileged youth, as well as a bilingual employment support program as part of a neighborhood community assistance program. He's all up in these civil rights, too. I failed to go back and highlight the fact that he was helping people against the claims against the neo-Nazis. So I just don't think he'd take this if it was frivolous. I don't. Not with the things he's had to deal with. Okay, now we're going to listen to Kenya's Tamron Hall interview again. And then we'll listen to her YouTube interview, or not interview, but her recapping. But I really think Kenya thought she had pictures of Brit. That part, I don't think Kenya thought she had false pictures of Brit. I think she thought everything she had was actual pictures of her. But let's go ahead and play. Again, if this is missing later for the replay gang, they made me take it down. There's nothing I can do about it. Let's see here.
center of a controversy that led to a suspension from the show and really confusion over her fate. Over the years, Kenya has come to visit me and the Tam fam, sharing her many career successes, her beautiful daughter Brooklyn's milestones, and she shared the hard times with us too, the end of her marriage and her best friend Candy Burris's exit from the housewife. We talked about all kinds of things. Through ups and downs, people have counted her out before, but Kenya says she is never over. And today, in a daytime exclusive, Kenya is here to finally, I don't know if you could ever clear air, right? But you have, and you know what's happened to you. And she is ready to talk about, from her point of view, of being removed from the show and what her next chapter looks like. Take a look.
You're not going to shade me at my own event. Exactly who are you and why are you talking to me?
Over 11 successful seasons as a lead star on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kenya Moore became a fan favorite with all the drama she delivered and the slick shade she could strategically throw, earning her the nickname, the Shade Assassin.
I never Phaedra personally, and I don't deserve that. Even if you thought it, it shouldn't have even been said.
Kenya was one of just 2 cast members to survive a cast shakeup ahead of the show's highly anticipated upcoming 16th season. But back in June, Housewife fans were shocked to hear Kenya was abruptly and indefinitely suspended during filming pending an investigation by Bravo. The reality star allegedly displayed sexually explicit photos of new cast member Brit Eady during the grand opening of her new Kenya Moore hair spa. The scandal went viral and sparked headlines in LA Times, USA Today, and Deadline, referring to allegations of revenge porn. Kenya quickly responded to the allegations on social media, saying, quote, "So many false claims hiding behind anonymous sources, all this conversation and no facts being reported." It added to you and your brand.
Definitely.
Longest running on the show.
Yes.
Cast member for the Atlanta series.
Yes.
Real fast, sorry y'all. If you heard it pause and then there was silence, I was muted. I was trying to answer Chit Chat's question. I was saying that Kenya is in the lawsuit. Kenya is, to me, in my opinion, Jane Doe 1 through 5. She's in that list, just not listed as Kenya yet, but I do think she's in that lawsuit.
There are some things we need to clear up, or you need to clear up. You were not fired, or were you fired?
I was never fired. I was never fired. So there were a lot of headlines that spread across the world. Kenya was fired. She was fired. She was let go. All of those things, and they were not true.
What is true?
What is true is that, where do you want me to start?
Well, are you a part of the show?
I am still under contract, and I am still an employee of the network.
So you still receive checks from the show?
I still do.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So,
okay.
Period. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, because we're going to be honest.
Yeah, you have to be honest.
I called you.
Yes.
I called you and I said, what is going on?
Yes.
I'm not going to pretend that this is someone that I am not friendly with. But I don't know. I'm not playing dumb right now. You know that. I called to check on you. I didn't call to get the scoop.
Yes.
So you're still being paid by Bravo. You've not been fired from the show. I felt that this was a ploy for ratings. I have felt from the beginning, and I have not told you this, because it doesn't make sense. I think if this is a case of revenge porn and there's an investigation, and I hope that there was, why are you still being paid?
So here's the thing. That's another lie. I was never under suspicion for revenge porn. I never, ever, from the network, their mouths exactly, you were never under investigation for revenge porn. That is something someone put on their Instagram along with law to point a finger at me for something that was completely a false narrative.
So why aren't you on the show?
I'm not on the show because we started filming, and this is a pivotal season for Real Housewives, and they had a lot of new girls. And as you said before, I was one of the few that survived. And we were really excited to get the season started. And some of the new girls, you know, as in the past, they come on and they're trying to make a name for themselves, especially when they're not really showing up.
But that's a part of the franchise,
That's a
right?
part of the
No one wants to
franchise.
see a boring Housewives episode.
Exactly.
And so some of the things that come on, you know, people are keeping it spicy for a reason.
Yes.
Okay.
But when you go too far, and that's what happened, we were having a filming, and things took like a really dark turn. And toward me, there was a young lady who was new, and she just was poking the bear. And everybody knows, you know, the saying that I made up, don't come for me unless I send for you.
Right.
And that means simply, I mind my business. And I don't start anything, I respond. So during this taping, the young lady escalated it to the point of tearing off mics, screaming all kind of obscenities at me, and threatening me. I felt threatened.
So let me pause here because I have to be fair to this person, Brit Eady. She has nothing on her Instagram about this. I've never met her. I don't know.
It's been deleted.
There's nothing on her Instagram about this.
Yes.
We reached out. She did not respond to her. And I actually don't want to litigate her actions because I do believe people don't get to respond to pick how you respond.
They do not get to choose how you respond.
But you have to be accountable for how you respond.
100%.
So whatever, which I have no tape of, I don't know what happened. You've explained to the audience that there was some escalation and some things that went on there. But going to your reaction to it, so you're alleging this thing happened between you, the two of us. You think her behavior or alleged behavior was because she wanted to make a name for herself on the show. Okay, I don't know any of that.
Right.
Take me to the salon, because I'm all proud because you have a new salon. You're opening this new business.
Yes.
And no one is talking about you opening their business. They are reports that you had.
It overshadowed it.
You overshadowed it.
Yes.
This is what happened. They are saying you had these pictures of her.
Yes. Okay, let me tell you what happened. So from that night where all of this stuff happened and there were threats in my direction, and I felt very concerned. I told the producers, I'm concerned, I'm scared, and I kind of feel like they said, oh, we'll take care of it. And it didn't feel like it was taken care of. They actually made me feel like I was being like a black Karen. Like, here Kenya goes again. Nothing really happened. They were joking or something. I don't take threats or the way that I felt. You can't invalidate my feelings. And it was a real concern for me. I'm a single mom with a beautiful child that if anything happened to me, no one would be there for her.
So you felt threatened by some actions that happened?
Yes, and she repeatedly said, or it was said, that you don't know who I am. So I didn't feel like I was being protected, and I took matters into my own hands.
What did you do?
I did my research on her. I found a lot of information, especially in the, explicit world, with a few clicks, with people helping me. I didn't get things sent to me, photos or videos that I did see, allegedly that were her. And I said, okay, if no one else is going to step up for me and protect me, I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to tell everyone what I.
Okay, so there it is again. Kenya wholeheartedly believes, because she went on an apology tour about it, but also saying why she did what she did, that she believed those were pictures of Brit. Which, again, if you were in the beginning and you heard us read through the lawsuit, it's not necessarily going to matter if those were or weren't pictures of Brit Eady on the strategy that she and her lawyer are using to sue Bravo. That part's not going to matter because it's the resulting treatment, the resulting consequences that they are concerned with and they are suing for, more than it actually being a picture of Brit or not. But with Kenya, she did believe she had pictures of Brit. I just want to make that clear. And also, okay, I was going to play Kenya's other one, but that one really got to the point, so there's no point in playing the other one. It's still up on YouTube for now because I was like, let me get this just in case she takes it down. But I think that we are hopefully more clear on how and why Brit is suing, whether those pictures are of her or not. And I'll just again repeat that I think that the pictures of the woman, if it's not her, and she's seen it now, she knows what's her or not. they look similar enough to where when Kenya pulled them and she consulted with, like she said on her YouTube channel, her private investigator, it was wholeheartedly believed it was Brit. And then if I was at Kenya's salon and I see her walking around with a poster and there's some of Brit Eady's face in the present time mixed in with explicit photos of someone with her skin tone and similar features, I'm not zooming in to see if it's Brit still or not. I'm just thinking, my brain's already registered. That's, oh God, that's Brit. Like, oh wow. Lies More Lies said Bravo or the production team tried to please both of them, in my opinion. Brit wasn't released for the threat and pleased by making Kenya stop filming. So they paid Kenya but told her she wouldn't film. Well, there's a lot of moving parts. I will say that. So yes, they did try to please both, because if Kenya was still getting paid, but she just wasn't getting the airtime, they were probably trying to please Kenya on that side. They also didn't handle the part of a threat of a pow pow well with Kenya. And then on Brit's side, yeah, they were like, we did this investigation. I think it was a late and a lazy one. They would, and that's crazy though. She asked to see the pictures. They wouldn't show her the pictures. It's crazy to me. That's crazy. But we will see what her attorney does. Now, here's the problem. If y'all see other resulting documents in this lawsuit, I'm probably going to ask you, if you don't mind, to email it to me, because this is not currently in the federal court just yet. But with that amount, from what I understand, I thought it should eventually go to the federal court. If it goes to federal court, I can get it. But if it sticks to that New York Supreme Court or whatever, I don't know how to get those documents. So this one was publicly available, not on a court website, and I was able to get that one to review it. So all I ask is, please, if y'all see the other documents start flying through for this court case, if you don't mind emailing it to me, I would totally appreciate it. And I'll leave my email in the comments section. But that's the only thing, is like, I want to keep following it if they keep filing documents, but I'm like, I got lucky to get access to this one because other outlets have reposted it, so it helped me out. But I hope that at least gives some clarification, if not to where for sure everything's going, to where I think it's going and why. And again, I'm just here for now to go over the documents. Everything else, I'm like, you know what? I don't have the energy to do the back and forth about who was right or wrong. I just want to know if they have if they have a legal standing, to do this. And that man, oh my God, with his background, he not wasting his time. Thank you, Chich. I said, good point. They should have let Brit go when she mentioned the pow pow. Now they may be in big trouble. No problem, big sis. I'm glad you're in here. I'm glad to see all of y'all. I think they're gonna settle too. I think so too. I don't think they want this. We will see though. We will see. But I'm thinking settlement on this one. She's not gonna walk away with $0, in my opinion, on this one. But I hope y'all enjoyed my take on it. And hopefully there will be more. And I hope y'all have a great, great afternoon, evening, night. Y'all have and I'll see y'all soon. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.